Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to CAT 2 Lab, third video. In today's video, we will discuss some of the editing features. And the commands that we are going to use in this video are the holes, features, rounds, and chamfers. Let us begin. I will work in Pro E environment. So I will click on the new tab. I'm selecting the part module, solid system of units I can use. Okay. So first I will make a simple part, a 3D part, and then I will use those three editing features, which is the hole, rounds, and chamfer on that particular part. So let me first make a sketch, and then I will convert that sketch to 3D part, and then we will discuss the options. So I will click on the sketcher. I am picking this front plane as the sketching plane. By default, it will pick the right plane as the reference plane, and for orientation, it will make that sketching plane parallel to the right side. So I'm changing nothing. I'm simply clicking the OK button. And you can always use the right mouse button when you are in the sketch menu. As discussed in the previous video, you can pick for the options, and you can turn on the visibility of the grid by checking this particular checkbox. Similarly, you can turn on the snap mode, snap to grid option on or off, and similarly some other options also. So let me start with a simple sketch. So I will use multiple entities. Last lecture में हमने simple rectangle बनाया था. So I will start from a line. So let me make a line, and then I can use. Still, I can switch to some other option when a command is active, like the line option is active right now. But if I click on some other command, so I can directly jump to that. और दूसरा मैंने आपको बताया था कि if you a command is active, like a circle command is active now, you can first click on this arrowhead, so it will take you out of the current command, and then you can pick for the other one. So let me select the arc option. So I'm selecting the 3-point arc option. So this will be my first point. यहाँ पे कहीं मैं second point define कर देता हूँ. Suppose this is the third point, and then I will switch back to the line command. I'm drawing multiple lines. So right now I have a closed sketch which I can extrude. So I will click on the arrowhead, and the dimension will appear on the entities. So methodology will remain the same. You can normally when you make a sketch, so it puts default dimensions along those entities, and the color of those dimensions are a little bit dull, blunt color में होंगे. They are because weak dimensions. So weak dimension means that you can, during the sketch, you can change those dimensions. Like for example, if I select this one, double click on that, and I change the value, let it convert it to a round figure of 65, for example. So it will change to the active dimension. So now these are the weak dimensions which are dull in color. And once you come out of the sketch command, so automatically those dimensions will become permanent. So otherwise you can use your own dimension manually also. So if you look into these tabs, dimension tab is also available over here, and if you click on that arrowhead, so these are different modes of dimensions that you can use. For example, you can use the baseline dimension, रेफरेंस डायमेंशन आप यूज़ कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, वर्टिकल पैरामीटर्स या हॉरिजॉन्टल पैरामीटर्स जो है वो आप डिफाइन कर सकते हैं, और यू कैन पुट अ नॉर्मल dimension along an entity. So let me pick this one. Always look to the dashboard. So when you activate an option, so the messages regarding that particular command will be available in this dashboard area. So it is now asking for selection of the entity. So first you have to select an entity. For example, मैं ये line select करता हूँ, so I will pick this line, and then you have to also mention the location of the dimension line, कि कहाँ पे dimension जो place करे. For example, I want to put the dimension at this particular place, so I will bring the cursor over here, and then for placement I will click the mid mouse button, ठीक है ना. So आपने mid mouse button जो है वो click करना होगा, and it will simply put a normal dimension along that particular entity, and then you can change that value और वो आप enter कर लेंगे. So similarly, uh, if I pick, let us say, this point and this point, और यहाँ पे for example मैं dimension place करना चाहता हूँ, ठीक है. So I can place that horizontal dimension or vertical dimension अगर मैं यहाँ पे click करता हूँ, ठीक है. So you can pick an entity directly. You can pick two endpoints of an entity or any 2 points, or you can pick directly two lines also. So for example, if I select this line and this as the second reference, और यहाँ पे for example मैं click करूँ dimension line location के लिए, so it will put a dimension in between these two selected lines. So there are so many ways that you can use for the dimensions. And once you complete all the dimensions, simply click on the OK button. So these dimensions will become permanent. And later on, you can control your sketch through these dimensions. So I will click on the undo button. So right now, let me add one dimension, because I have these dimensions, vertical dimensions. One is this one, radial dimension is there, and this dimension is there. So I do not have this base dimension. So if I click on the normal dimension, I pick this line and then click over here. By default, it is now 253. But if I want to change this dimension, let us say 300. So it will not update that. And this is because of one of the constraint, which is this line. So you can see that when you want to change this dimension, so it doesn't change, but it highlights this entity. And this is because it will change either the angle or the length of this line if you change the dimension. Because here we have an arc, and that arc radius has been defined to 65 degrees. So you cannot change this dimension. It has already been defined. So what you can do now is that if I make these two entities tangent to each other, so then we can change the entities. So sometimes you may come across these types of problems while dimensioning the entities. If you want to change one dimension, so it will affect some of the other dimensions, and it will ask you to update them, or क्या रिजल्ट आपके पास आएगा, तो वो ऑप्शंस आपके पास आएंगे. सो लेट मी यूज़ दैट ऑब्जेक्ट स्नैप मोड ऑप्शन. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें तो आपके पास एक ऑब्जेक्ट स्नैप की मेनू भी है, दिस वन. सो हियर यू कैन सी द वर्टिकल option, the horizontal option, the perpendicular option. So if you have two lines and you want to make these two lines perpendicular to each other, So you can use the perpendicular option if you want to make two lines equal to each other, two dimensions equal to each other, so you can use the equal option. Or for example, if you have two aligned lines and you want to make them parallel to each other, you can use the parallel option. Midpoint का option आपके पास available है. Similarly, you have the tangent option available also. So I will click on the tangent mode. Always look to the dashboard. So यहाँ पे आपको पास messages आएंगे, ठीक है ना. So now it is asking for the selection of two entities that you want to make tangent to each other. So I will pick this arc and this line, and it will make these two entities tangent to each other. You can look at this particular point, the word T appears over here. So ये वो constraint है जो आपने डाल दिया है. And similarly, I can again pick this arc and I can make it tangent to this vertical line also. So a T appears also over here. So now you can change this dimension. So now if I want to change this to, let us say, 350, okay, 340. So I can update this. So this is how you can put the your own dimensions and how you can use the object snap menu. So simply pick any of the option and then it will ask you to select the entities. So once you are satisfied with the sketch, simply click on the check mark button. So now you have this sketch. Let me turn off the planes. Now I will extrude it. Let the extrusion height is 100 units. And this is the direction of extrusion. I will click on the OK button. Now I have a 3D part, and now you can see the edit menu is turned on. This is because we have now a part and we can use the edit features. So the first command that is available in the edit menu is the hole feature. So hole is a simple option in which you can place holes inside entities. So let me give you an example. For example, if I go to the sketch और मैं ये phase जो है जो sketching plane select करूँ, and suppose I make a circle on this face, yeah, and I extrude it, okay. I change the depth of extrusion और यहाँ पर मैं through all का option select करूँ, and suppose if I want to use the remove material, the cut option over here, I can use that. You can see that a hole basically appears on that part, but technically the software, the ProE, will not take this feature as a hole feature. It will treat it as a cut feature. So for example, later on during the manufacturing module or some other module, if you want, let us say, to make threads in that hole, so it will not treat this particular cylindrical surface as a hole feature because ये आपने cut feature के through जो है वो generate किया है. So be careful whenever you want to generate holes, so properly use the hole feature itself, which is available in the edit menu. इसको मैं undo कर देता हूँ sketch को. So if you want to place the hole, or simply click on the hole feature. Hole feature जब आप click करेंगे, so look at the dashboard. Different options regarding the hole features will appear on the dashboard area, and again look at the placement tab. It is red in color. So this means that this particular tab needs attention. और यहाँ पे आपको message भी आ रहा है. Select a surface, axis or point to place the hole. So first you have to give the placement for the hole के hole feature जो है वो आपने place कहाँ पे करना है, ठीक है ना. If you click on this particular tab, it is asking for the placement. Placement में अभी आपने कोई selection नहीं की. So here you can select a point. It will place a whole feature on that particular point, या कोई surface आप select कर सकते हैं या plane आप select कर सकते हैं. So let me select this face. So it will place a whole feature on that particular area. And then you can grab that pick box and then you can dynamically change the location of that hole. और फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे अगर मैं एक्टिव ही होगा आपका सरफेस, इफ़ आई टेक दिस फेस, सो इट विल प्लेस द होल फीचर अलोंग दिस पार्टिकुलर फेस. अगर मैं ये फेस सेलेक्ट करता हूँ, ठीक है ना, सो इट विल प्लेस द होल फीचर ऑन दैट, एंड देन लेटर ऑन यू कैन चेंज द other dimensions for the hole. So let us pick this front face for the placement, and then you can see these two green grippers, which are basically the references for this hole. Other parameters associated with the hole is one is the placement. ये dimension आपने define करनी होगी. One is the depth of the hole. You can double click on that and you can then define any depth. So whole feature will be up to that particular depth, and then you can define the radius for or diameter of the hole also. Grippers are available for those dimensions. If you click on that, you can change the diameter or radius dynamically. If you want to go for the preview अगर आप check करना चाहेंगे, so you will not be able to check the preview right now. This is because we have not yet fully defined the point of location for the hole. इस केस में अभी हमने सिर्फ जो है ये फेस डिफाइन किया हुआ है. Still we can move around this whole feature on that whole area. How to fix a point on that particular surface? For that we will use these references, these green check boxes, or pick boxes you can. So hold these grippers, and then these grippers will basically use to dimension this hole in the vertical direction and in the horizontal direction. So एक आपने, because we have a plane surface over here, so if you have a plane and you want to define any point along that plane, so you need to define two axes, horizontal axis और vertical axis की dimensions आपने जो है वो define करनी होगी. So you will hold the gripper and then you can pick any point or any edge. So for example, if I, let us say, take this as my first reference, so now I can dimension this hole horizontally in the horizontal direction from this particular reference. And one other reference will be required. Horizontal आपने define कर दिया है, so other must be a vertical one. So vertical dimension के लिए आप कोई भी reference जो है वो select कर सकते हैं. Horizontal already आपने define कर दिया है, so you cannot pick this edge or this edge any further. You can use this upper face for the second reference, or you can use the bottom face, or you can use this bottom edge. So let me pick this one. So now I have these two references available for me. एक ये reference है. So if I set it to, let us say, 50 units, so that hole will always stay 50 units from this side. अगर इस dimension को मैं change कर दूँ, suppose 50 units, so that hole will always be 50 units above the bottom line and 50 units to the left side from the right face of that particular figure. So this is how you can change that dimension. So let me change these values to some larger value, 100 units from this side and 100 let it be something like 200. Okay. So these are the reference dimensions that you have defined. और टाइप को अगर आप देखें तो लीनियर पे है, ठीक है ना. So this is because we have a linear surface. So if you have a cylindrical surface, so the type of hole will be then set to the radial option or diameter option. That we will do in the next video. So in this video we will only stick ourselves to the linear hole type. So यहाँ पे आपने डायमेंशन जो डेप्थ है वो डिफाइन करनी होगी. फॉर एग्जांपल टोटल डेप्थ इज लेट अस से you want to have a diameter of, for example, 50 units and a depth of, let us say, 70 units. And these are the location points. You can have 100 units in the vertical direction and 200 units in the horizontal direction from the left side. And now if you want to see the end result, so this will be the resultant form of the feature that you have defined. You can see some of the tabs over here also. Placement तो आपने define कर दिया है. Other is the shape option. So if you click on the shape tab, so it will show you the cross section or the sectional view of the whole feature. So the sectional view का जो option है उसमें भी आप ये dimension जो है change कर सकते हैं. For example, if you want to change the diameter, so you can change this diameter value from here also. You can change it from this text box also. You can dynamically change this diameter from this dimension also. So you have so many options that you can use. Similarly, there is another tab. So in this session, only concentrate on the standard hole option. Do not. We also have this threaded hole option over here, in which we can use some of the standard hole fasteners, but we will stick ourselves only to the first option, that is the cylindrical one. So यहाँ पे shape अगर आप देखें, so you will have a simple cylindrical hole feature. And within that you have two sub options like this is the first one. If you want to make the end face of the hole as a plane surface, so you can use this option, or you can make it as a tapered section also. So you now look at the cross section. For example, so if you really want to machine that whole feature within the block using the manufacturing module, so वहाँ पे हम twist drill use करते हैं, ठीक है ना. And twist drill का अगर आप point देखें, so that is conical in cross section, and normally the standard angle is 118 degree for that. You can change that angle also. For example, if you are using a drill bit of included angle of 120 degree, let us say, so you can change this value to 120 degree. So you can always change the dimensions from the shape tab or to the dashboard area or dynamically on screen. So आप cylindrical hole feature में आप ये दो options use कर सकते हैं, ठीक है ना. So you can make the end face as a plane face or as a conical face. Diameter, and they are the same option that we did in the last video, in which we discussed the extrude command. So extrude command में भी ये options available थे, और यहाँ पे भी आपके पास available होंगे. So let us do them also one by one. So right now I am only using the blind option, you know, blind depth of the engage. So if it is set to the blind option, so then you have to define the depth for that. और ये depth जो है वो हम यहाँ पे डिफाइन करते हैं 70 यूनिट्स है तो इट इज़ 70 यूनिट्स डेप्थ. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें तो जो टोटल डेप्थ है ये 70 यूनिट्स जो है इट इज़ अप टू दैट मच एरिया, ठीक है ना. सो यू कैन यूज़ द अदर ऑप्शन आल्सो, सो इट विल आल्सो बी इंक्लूडेड विद इन द टोटल डेप्थ जो कॉनिकल सेक्शन की हाइट है, ठीक है ना, दिस हाइट. So you can use these two options, ठीक है ना. So you can dimension the hole up to the shoulder, or you can dimension it up to the tip. So that's up to you. यही ऑप्शन जो है डेप्थ वाला या थ्रू वॉल वाला या सरफेस वाला, ये ऑप्शन जो है यहाँ पे भी अवेलेबल है. सो यू कैन पिक इट फ्रॉम this menu or from this menu. So we will discuss these options in the next video. Uh, uh, in the last we have two further sub options for the cylindrical one, and that is the counter bore option and countersink option. So right now hole के ऊपर अगर आप देखें तो you have a simple flat hole like this one. So if I want to use the counter bore option, so I can use it. Look at the shape also. So if I pick on the counter bore, so it will put counter bore hole over. So let me change this height, counter bore height to smaller value so that it is visible. And now if you want to check the resulted form, so I have a conical section at the end of the hole also, because I have picked that option. This is diameter of the hole, and this is that counter bore area which it has included at the top of the hole, this one. And if you set it to a simple cylindrical hole option, तो सिंपल सिलेंड्रिकल होल ही आपका बनेगा, ठीक है ना. जो काउंटर बोर का ऑप्शन है वो आपको टेपर्ड प्रॉपर होल जब आप डिफाइन करेंगे तो उसमें ही आपको मिलेगा, ठीक है ना. सिमिलरली यू कैन यूज द काउंटर सिंकिंग ऑपरेशन आल्सो, ठीक है ना. सो काउंटर बोर और काउंटर सिंक जो है नॉर्मली दे आर द ऑपरेशंस यूज्ड टू प्रोवाइड रिसेसेस फॉर द हेड्स ऑफ द काउंटर संक स्क्रूज एंड हेड्स ऑफ बोल्ट्स एटसेट्रा, ठीक है ना. सो काउंटर संक एंगल जो है वो आप यहाँ पे डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. सो यू कैन चेंज दैट पैरामीटर, यू कैन चेंज द आउटर डायमीटर from this tab. So all the dimensions can be changed in the shape menu. यहाँ पे अगर आप देख इसको विजिबल करना चाहें तो that is you have a counter sunk operation at the top of the hole. Okay. So this is how you can use different options within the whole feature. So इसको मैं काउंटर बोर्ड पे लेटर से फिक्स करके ओके कर देता हूँ, ठीक है ना. एंड लेट मी क्लिक ऑन द check mark button, ठीक है ना. So this is now that particular whole feature which is available on that particular part, and whole is a feature basically. So any editing option that you use, the system will take that as a feature. So whole is a feature, chamfer is a feature, cut is a feature also. So this was the first option of the edit command, the holes. Or holes, may remember that we have only covered the cylindrical options. In the next video we will cover the rest of the options. So let me switch to the rounds and chamfers. So they are again simple commands. So if I want to use the chamfer option, so यहाँ पे chamfer का option है, the last one and the second last one is the fillet option, a round option. So if you want to fillet any edge, so you can use that. So simply click on the round option, or यहाँ पे first you have to give the fillet radius, which is right now 10 units, and sets को अगर आप देखें so it is red in color, and if you click on that, so it is asking for the references, or references क्या होंगे, you have to select the items. What will be the items? You have to select the edges, ठीक है ना. So if I pick any edge, like for example if I click this one, you know, so it will round it off, you know, and the total fillet radius in this case is 10 units. Similarly, if I click on the other edge, you know, so you can pick multiple edges in the same, and each selection will be treated as a new set, you know. So first edge मैंने select किया था, it take that as set 1 and this as set 2 and set 3, you know. So if you want to change the radius, for example set 1 का अगर मैं radius change करना चाहूँ, you know, which is this one, and if I change it to 20 units, so only this radius will change, you know. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें, so this is 20 units and the rest of them is 10 units. This is because the system is treating all of these edges as independent edges, separate sets. So if you want to pick multiple edges with a single set, within a single set, so you then have to press the control key on the keyboard. जिस तरह नॉर्मल सॉफ्टवेयर में आप सिलेक्शन करते हैं, तो मल्टीपल सिलेक्शन के लिए नॉर्मली वी होल्ड द कंट्रोल की on the keyboard and then we pick multiple entities. So I'm now pressing the holding the control key on the keyboard, and now if I select entities, like for example if I pick this one, you know, so it has included this whole edge. And why it is picking that whole edge as a single entity, this is because sketch में अगर आपको याद हो तो we made this arc tangent to this line and this line also, you know. So that is why it is treating this whole edge as a single entity, you know. While holding the control key, still I am holding the control key on the keyboard, and if I pick, let us say, this edge, you know, so you can see that it has included that edge also in set number 1. For example, if I pick this edge, you know, so it is in set number 1, you know. If I pick this edge, again it is in set number 1. So now if I release the control key, and now if I pick any of the edge, like for example if I click this one, this edge, you know, so it will be included in the second set, you know. So again, for example, if I click this edge, you know, so it has made another set, which is set number 3. So if I click on set number 1, and suppose I want to change that particular radius, you know, so any edge in that particular set will be changed to that new radius, you know, which was this whole front area, you know. So this is how you can round off the the edges using the fillet command. Again, I will undo all the edges. So you can directly pick the edge, or you can pick the surfaces also. So for example, if I pick in set number 1, if I pick, let us say, this face, and then again holding the control key, if I pick another face, like for example this one, so any edge in between those two faces will be selected for rounding, ठीक है ना, जो कि आपका ये edge है. So again, if I hold the control key and pick those edges, let us select these edges. So it will be picked for the filleting. I can resume that once you uh, take your selection, so you can click on the green check mark button, and now you can see in the model tree that you have the round feature also. So you have an extruded part, you have a hole feature on that extruded part, and you have a round also. Then we can use the chamfer, edge chamfer option also. एच चैम्फर में जब आप जाएंगे तो अगेन वहाँ पे उसी तरह ही आपने सेट्स डिफाइन करने होंगे. The selection criteria is the same as in the filleting, so you can independently select an edge, or you can click on the control key and then you can select multiple edges, or you can select two faces and any edge in between those two faces will be selected for the chamfering or for the filleting. So that will depend. And these are the different types of fillets that you can use. You can give D means equal distances. D1 D2 अगर आप click करेंगे, so you can give separate distances from one edge and from the other edge. Like for example, अगर एक आप कहते हैं 20 है और दूसरा आपका 10 है, ठीक है ना. So इस साइड से आपका 10 यूनिट्स है, इस साइड से आपका 20 यूनिट्स है. So this will be your end result. Similarly, you can pick other options like this one, you know. So इसमें आप वही एक डायमेंशन आप देंगे, O1 O2 आप जो है वो दो डायमेंशन जो है वो दे सकते हैं. You can change the size, like for example if you have given two dimensions, one is 10 and let us say other is 20, and you want to interchange them, so you can click on the flipper, so the distances will change their sides. So this is how you can use the chamfer and the fillet command. Asan commands हैं, you can pick them. So that's it. In the next video we will cover the rest of the options of the whole field.